My name is Mike Brown, and on behalf of Dowling Yahnke, I want to welcome you tonight. We've got a really interesting evening ahead of us, great topic, fantastic, very well-known speaker, Lynn O'Shaughnessy, with us, and hopefully you'll get a lot out of the event. The goal of tonight is really to kind of start the conversation. If you haven't thought a whole lot about planning for college for your kids or your grandkids, if you're 10 years away, if you're 2 years away, if you're 1 year away, the goal is to figure out how can I be as smart as possible when I'm sending my kids to college. For those of you that don't know a whole lot about Dowling Yahnke, we are an independent investment management firm founded about 20 years ago by Mark and Dale on the principles of providing independent, objective advice to clients to help them preserve and grow their wealth. That is really our goal and our mission. And a lot of times when we talk about college and planning for college, we focus on saving, the different savings vehicles that are available, how much should we be saving, all those types of issues. But tonight is kind of focused on spending, so using your money as wisely as possible. And I ran across a quote when we were preparing for tonight. It's by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he says, "It takes a great deal of courage and boldness to build a fortune. It takes 10 times as much wit to keep it." So it's one thing to make it and to save it. It's another thing to spend it wisely. So we're going to talk a little bit introductory-wise about the different savings vehicles. We'll do that kind of smartly, but then talk about some of the key decisions that you have to make as you're choosing how to spend your college dollars. Basically, there are three different options when saving for college. And I think a lot of you who you've thought a little bit about this, you're familiar with these 529 plans. That's where with our clients, most of the money goes into 529 plans. The money grows tax deferred. There's no age limit by which you have to spend it. You can put a big chunk of money in there. One of the 529 plans that we really like, the Utah plan, you can put money in until you've got $397,000 per child in the account. So you can save a lot of money in the accounts. They can be used for both undergraduate school or graduate school. They can be passed along. So really good, useful vehicles. Some of the other tools are helpful as well, maybe in combination with 529 plans, but there are limitations on them from a tax perspective and from an income perspective. A lot of our clients are phased out of are over the income limits for Coverdell accounts covering these. I'm going to turn it over to Lynn. It's our great pleasure to have Lynn O'Shaughnessy with us tonight. Lynn is a nationally known speaker and expert in the area of saving and planning for college, and she's a great friend of our firm. She writes and contributes for our blog. If you're not familiar with our blog, we post 2 times a week on different financial planning topics, and Lynn helps us do a lot of that writing.
Yep.
So we're thankful to have her as a partner for our firm, and I'm going to turn it over to Lynn.
Okay. I guess I don't need that. Okay. All right. Thanks, Mike, for that introduction. And I want to start today by asking a couple questions. Number one, how many of you are stressed at the prospects of your children getting into good colleges and universities? Anybody? Like a lot of people. Okay. All right. Here's question number 2. How many of you are stressed out about how you're going to pay for all these colleges and universities your kids get into? Okay. Usually I get more of a reaction out of that. And I know how you feel because I've been there. I have 2 children. One graduated from college, it's 2.5 years ago now, and she beat the odds. She came back home to San Diego, got a great job at Rockenbach, the toy company in Solana Beach. And my son is a mathematics major at a school, liberal arts college, Beloit College in Wisconsin. So while I've been in your shoes, I've gone through what you're going to go through, here's the good news. Okay, it doesn't have to be as stressful or often as expensive if you become an empowered consumer. Because if you become a smart college shopper, you're going to understand, where you might be able to get scholarship money, or if you even would qualify for financial aid, or if that's even out of the question. There are a lot of ways to reduce the cost of college, but no one's really telling you that. So what my goal tonight is to share with you some ways that you can, make college more affordable for your children, regardless of what your financial situation is. So the first thing you need to know is that college is a price like airline tickets, right? Everybody pays a different price, right? You're getting the same education, so why should you pay a lot more than somebody else? Okay. And one of the things that you need to know after this sinks in is where the sources of money are for college, right? These are the main sources: the federal government, then colleges, states, private scholarships, employers. Okay. So let's just go through all these, because some of you here some of these you're not going to qualify for, this group. And some of you will. The biggest, hugest portion of college money comes from the federal government, but it's for low-income people. To get the full Pell Grant, that's the big federal program, you need to make less than $24,000. Okay? And most of the people who get this have adjusted gross incomes of no more than $40,000. So I'm assuming you're not going to qualify for that, right? But what about the state government? The state government, the huge program in the state of California is the Pell Grant program. Probably some of you have heard of that. The income ceilings are higher, but probably, again, for this crowd, may not qualify. Or maybe some of you who are maybe grandparents, your grown children's kids could qualify for this. But these are the income ceilings. For a family of 4, if you make more than $83,100, just a gross, you're not going to qualify for a Pell Grant. And what a Pell Grant covers is the tuition and fees for a state school, not room and board. And it will also give about, if a child goes to a private school in the state of California, it will cover about $10,000 of the price. Okay. Now, even if you make the income limits, there's also an asset test. So if you have taxable assets over $64,300, you're not going to get a Pell Grant either. Okay. So where does that leave people? And there's a lot of people, I'm sure, here and in the state that aren't going to qualify for state money. There is a little tiny bit of merit scholarships at the state schools for students who don't qualify for a Pell Grant. But as you can see, it's really small. I mean, and the kids, I'm not sure what it takes. You have to be pretty darn bright to get one of those merit scholarships at UCSD. 58 kids out of the freshman class got it, right? And kids who that are smart enough to get merit scholarships at UCs and Cal States could certainly get merit scholarships elsewhere, at probably most of the schools in this country. Okay. So as a practical matter, if you're not going to get a Pell Grant, you're not going to qualify, your kids or your grandkids aren't going to qualify, then you're looking at paying full price for a state school here, or looking at private schools or state schools elsewhere. That's pretty much your choice. Okay. Now, a lot of people think that private scholarships is where the money is. Maybe you've nagged your kids to go look for, find strange scholarships like left-handed scholarship, or the scholarship that for kids who make the best prom dress and tuxedo out of duct tape, right? I mean, there are those things, but there's not a lot of money there. The average private scholarship is just $2,500. Okay. The irony of this is that private scholarships are more likely to be won by affluent students. One, because some of them want students who've got good grades, or just good academic profiles. Also, oftentimes there is a community service component. So if your child does not spend a lot of time volunteering, less likely they can get a private scholarship. But one thing that they can do is write a really good essay, because I've talked to people who have been on these scholarship committees, and they say the essays they get are just dreck. They're horrible. So if your child can actually manage to spend some time on a good essay, they got a better chance at these private scholarships. Now, a lot of kids go on FastWeb and scholarships.com, places like that, looking for them. Good luck, because they're really pretty awful. I have a friend who works at Money Magazine, and she just recruited some teenagers to go try out some of these scholarship sites. And their conclusion were they were pretty grim, not very good. But actually, where most private scholarships are, where you're going to find them, are local ones. And local ones aren't even in these national databases anyway. So if your child will have the best chance at local scholarships. One thing you need to know for people who are going to get need-based aid at schools, financial aid, there is a little financial aid trap attached to these private scholarships. And this is what I mean. If you are going to get financial aid from a school and your child goes out and hustles and gets a $1,000 scholarship from the Lions Club, for instance, the school will then turn around and go, congratulations, and we're going to reduce your financial aid package by $1,000. So you might think, what's the point of even bothering with this? Well, what you hope, ideally what the school would do is reduce the loan portion of the financial aid package. But some schools, shame on them, reduce the grant portion of the financial aid, the free money. Or some reduce it half and half. So if you are your grandchild, your grandchild or your child is going to be hustling for these private scholarships and they're going to get financial aid, you need to talk to the schools about, hey, how do you deal with outside scholarships? How do you treat them?